The autumn sun is setting over the great walls of Candlekeep. Candlekeep, one of the greatest institutes of knowledge in all of Faerun. In its hallowed halls lie countless tomes, books, scrolls, collections of written work. Some of it very rare, some of it very dangerous, but all of it of interest to the scholars of Candlekeep, known as the Avowed. The great library is a magnificent structure in itself, a great fortress castle surrounded by many additional buildings and towers. But such places are only for the Avowed. For people like our two travellers today, they have to make do with the Court of Air and the buildings there. All are welcome to come to Candlekeep to seek knowledge, as long as they pay the entrance fee. A book, not just any book of course, a book either extremely rare, to the point where they don't have it in their collection, or an extremely rare and expensive version of a book they already have. A better version, a first edition if you will, or a second edition of something. One of these allows one access to Candlekeep for a certain period of time. During that time, a seeker, as you are then called, is allowed to dwell in the House of Rest, go to the Temple of Ogma, go to the Outfitters, the Bookbinders, and of course rent rooms in the Pillars of Pedagogy, where one is able to learn things. But unfortunately, you are not allowed access to the Central Library itself. This is only for the Avowed, or extremely important guests who have business with the Council of Readers. Still, for many this is more than enough. Being able to study in these hallowed halls, and even have access to the books of the library, is something many would die for. After all, that entrance fee is not easy. But for the pair of you, you managed it. Who is our first seeker? Why are you here? And what are you hoping to learn from Candlekeep?
Well, before you is a human man. He's wearing expensive-looking robes, colored in purple and red. He has wavy, long, dark hair and a perfectly trimmed goatee. Clearly someone who cares a great deal about his appearance. His gaze is distant, though, lost in his own thoughts and the studies that he's here to conduct. My name is Alto, an apprentice wizard. When the mistress sent me here to Candlekeep to bring back all the knowledge I could find on weather magic, I don't think I quite realized just how vast the library was. The runners just keep on coming back with book after book, and they all have led me further and further into the minutiae of the discipline. I'll have to go back to Baldur's Gate eventually, but for now I'm really enjoying myself here. A week has passed, it goes really quickly, and coin is starting to run a little short, which is why I've had to cut down on my standards a bit when it comes to accommodation. Well, if worst comes to worst, I'll still have another unique book with me that I can use to get back in. There's always people willing to pay for a lightning bolt or two out there. The mistress didn't give me a deadline after all, so I think I'll take my time with this.
And who is our second seeker who seeks the halls of Candlekeep?
I am Bex, a dragonborn, scales of dull white, meshing with pale teal ones. It's apparent that my heritage is that of the untrustworthy white dragons. My eyes observe everything over a snubbed nose and a knowing smile. I'm wearing sleekly fitting furs. Being cold-blooded, I prefer to wrap myself up, always, and padded clothing, seemingly meant for a blend of style and practicality. At my side sits a wicked-looking dirk that I finger as I speak, and over my shoulder is protruding the butt of a small crossbow that I keep with me as long as I can get away with it. I have been paying my respects to the Temple of Ogma and the Lord of Knowledge, but most of my time I've been spending in the Pillars of Pedagogy. trying to find how to better channel my powers and make my work more lucrative while doing so.
Indeed. Your weapons are certainly quite impressive, and you have been allowed to keep them, of course, on the agreement that you will never use them anywhere on the grounds. The rules of Candlekeep are quite simple. No violence, no theft, no copying of books. That literally means copying them, not just taking notes, of course. And no damage to any of the property of Candlekeep in any fashion. As long as you obey these rules, you are welcome to do as you please. You would know that if you break those rules, the sages are very adept at simply removing the problem. People don't die in Candlekeep, they simply are no longer on the premises. Still, tonight our two seekers are standing in the lobby of the House of Rest, the great inn of Candlekeep. A fine building made from marbled stone, 3 stories high, housing many rooms for the many guests who come to Candlekeep. A golden plaque rests on the front, commemorating the disaster that happened 10 years ago, where one enterprising wizard caused a magical explosion that sadly cost a few people their lives. It is normally quite difficult to achieve such feats in Candlekeep, so this wizard perhaps had some skill, but sadly will never likely be allowed to come back to the keep again. But here you are in the lobby, facing a tiefling. This tiefling has a bluish tinge to their skin and fine black horns, wearing the scribe outfit that you have come to associate with the Avowed. They are looking at you a little troubled as you come to arrange for your rooms for the evening. Yes, Alto? Is Mr. Alto at Bex, yes?
Yes.
Also is me, yes.
So sorry, little snag with your accommodation this evening. You see, we've had a large contingency come from Elturel. You know Elturel? Yeah, quite a few problems they've had of late. I don't need to go into detail, but yes, unfortunately they took all the standard rooms and we kind of got a bit of a mix-up, and I'm afraid all the standard accommodation for this evening is actually booked.
That does not sound good. So how are you going to solve this little mix-up?
Oh, well, don't worry. We have ways of solving these issues. Of course, for the price of 200 gold, we can have one of the sages magic a room for you. That we always have space for extra dimensional rooms, of course. Does that suffice?
I'm a little bit short of coin at the moment. There's been so many business opportunities here, so many fine things to, purchase. I would have to go back to Baldur's Gate to procure those funds. I don't think that will work with the time frame that I'm working under. Perhaps you have something a little bit of more affordable?
Oh, well, maybe. What about you, Bex?
You see, my nostrils flare as a cloud of icy mist comes out. I look at him with utter dissatisfaction. I don't mind, but 200 gold is a bit steep, as I just paid my entrance fee to get here.
Oh, well, yes, of course. I suppose it is a little steep, but, extra dimensional rooms. It's not like that's a cheap magic. Well, I do suppose, at a pinch. Well, they are currently renovating the Firefly cellar. They do have some rooms down there for some of the Avowed. In a pinch, that could be, shall we call it 50 copper?
Is it clean?
It's a little dusty down there, but Scribe Varnier is in the middle of a restoration project, I believe, down there, so I think it's a little cleaner than it used to be. I've never been down there myself.
Well, as long as there's a bed and it's clean, it's good for me.
A bedroll will be fine. I have slept under worse conditions.
Wonderful. Well, in that case, let me guide you to it then. The tiefling takes you through the busy common room of the House of Rest, filled, as he said, with several individuals. It seems quite a busy night here. And takes you to a side room, just by the main kitchens. Here you see what looks like a large cellar door, literally going straight into the ground. He goes and rings a little bell. You hear a chiming sound from somewhere else, and then opens this hatch. Right, well, yeah, just head down there, and head scribe Varnier should be able to accommodate you. She's a bit busy at the moment, but she should be reasonable to you if you explain the situation.
Fine. Just make sure you bring in the breakfast early in the morning. I'd like to get on with my studies as dawn breaks.
You begin to head down the stairway as the tiefling simply nods at your request for breakfast, quickly remarking, well, actually, they have breakfast down there. I'm sure their cook can do something for you. Anyway, good night, thank you. And they leave you be. You quickly go down this stairway you find. It seems the hatch doesn't go down to a ladder, but an actual wooden staircase. You go down and find yourself in quite an interesting location, after all. Perhaps when he said cellar, you were expecting a musty old wine cellar or something not quite as grandiose, but this is actually quite a large location. You find yourself in a circular room containing curved or dark wood bookcases, packed with books of assorted shapes, sizes, and ages. There are flowers in ceramic pots lined along the tops of the shelves in this room, giving the area a sweet fragrance. There are alcoves, which are spaced at regular intervals around the perimeter of this room. 4 of these alcoves contain polished bronze statues of bespectacled scholars, and 3 hold overstuffed chairs. In the centre of this room, a brass railing surrounds an overlook that gives you a view of the lower level from this level. Hanging above this opening is an enormous stone sculpture of an open book that looks as though the cover is flapping to keep it aloft. A spiral staircase to the east, from where you are now, leads down, as well as up to the trapdoor exit you've just come from. You notice in the air little floating light, and you realise, of course, that it is a firefly. There are loads of them all over the place, small fireflies just buzzing around, floating around your head. What is your first reaction to this room? This chamber, even?
I look to, well, the creature, the person that has come down here with me. Vex, was it you said?
Yes, I am Bex.
Vex, I'm Alto. This is dreadfully inconvenient, but I must say that this location, it is quite grandiose for a cellar. I must admit I had expected something much more Spartan and much more uncomfortable, I suppose. I'm pleasantly surprised. What do you think?
I look you up and down. I say, wouldn't want to get dust on your fine clothes.
Ah, no, but these robes, they're convenient in that way. They keep themselves clean. My mistress is arranged for that magic, you know.
I see. It don't seem to respond to your question, but you can see me looking around, my cold reptilian eyes taking in the view. And I try and reach out and poke one of these fireflies.
You do so, and the firefly flies away from you. It doesn't seem to want to be poked.
This head scribe, I look around trying to find him. Varnier, was it? Scribe Varnier?
As you speak aloud this name, you see a figure coming towards you, currently holding about 10 or 20 books in a large stack. Oh, hello, yes, Ibda, is that you? You don't sound like Ibda. At this, you then hear someone from a lower level say, "It's not me, clearly, gosh."
No, we are guests. Our rooms were taken, so we have been accommodated down here. We just need a place to sleep. Is there a place here? Are there beds?
Oh, a place to sleep? Probably. Wait, would you just handle this? And she quickly gives you several of the books she's holding, this individual. What do you do?
I take them, gladly. And I look at the titles. What are these?
Well, it seems one is a book on herbology, one is the collected poems of Sir Radcliffe, one is a treatise on the existence of wind fairies in the sea. That sounds a little silly, that one, but quite interesting. Quite old-looking books as well, dust on them.
Wind fairies in the sea? Wind. That could possibly relate to the topic of my studies. I put the books down and I begin opening this one up without asking for permission.
You do, and indeed it seems an interesting treatise on the matter, although a lot of it looks like it's just poems. Oh, maybe not quite what you were looking for. As you're reading it, you see the individual. They appear to be an elf, with a little hint of silver in their hair, implying that maybe they are an elf getting to the older stage of their life, so maybe 500 to 600 years old, you're not quite sure. She is clothed in a simple white robe, with a few symbols of Denir, the god of knowledge, the god primarily respected in Candlekeep. She squints a little, her hair is blondish silver as she sort of regards you. Oh, hello, right, what did you say? You need some rooms, do you? Oh, well, I suppose you could sleep downstairs with us, there's a few spare rooms, if that's acceptable.
Of course, that's what we paid for.
That will do nicely.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. An absolute pleasure to meet you. I am head scribe Varnir, and as you can see, this is the Firefly Cellar. What do you think of my restoration?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and there's so many things down here, so many books also. A fascinating place, truly.
Yes. Well, you know how it is. Not every single book is considered worthy of the Great Library. Sometimes as well we get extra copies of things, and it all just ended up here, and for quite some time no one really was maintaining the place, but I've begun a fascinating restoration project. I've almost done the first level. The second level, I apologize, it's not quite as good, but I'm really quite excited. It's been 6 months and things are going very well.
If you will excuse me, I'd like to retire early today.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going on, aren't I? I just can't help it. Yes, of course. Allow me to lead you to your room. It's quite late, is it? I don't know. Well, it is the time. You never can tell down here. No windows.
Yes, what is the time, actually?
Well, you think it might be around 8, 9 o'clock in the evening? But again, looking around here, it's all just gloomy. I mean, the fireflies seem to be keeping the place lit up. You notice what you thought were torches are actually little jars containing 20 or 30 fireflies. But yes, no windows, no other real way of telling the time down here, you think to yourself. So, if you are both then silent, this elf begins leading you down that staircase to the east, and you go down to a second floor. This floor doesn't seem quite as pleasant as the first one. Instead of the plush carpets and statues, here the floor is barren and wooden, and there's a lot more dust and boxes and crates filled with books. Again, there's quite the collection here. You are counting at least 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. It's hard to tell because there are so many little crannies filled with just piles and piles of books.
This is interesting. I might perhaps see if I can look through here as well while during the night. Excellent. I'm actually pleasantly surprised now. This has turned out to be a little bit of an opportunity. I was originally disappointed, but now, yes, I anticipate great things coming from this.
I look around. Is there an index or a catalogue of what you keep down here?
Oh, well, I mean, there will be. It's not quite finished, as like I said. Unfortunately, the records down here are a little sparse, but we're making good progress. You can certainly go to the scriptorium in the morning if you wish, and have a word with Ebda, and I'm sure he'll be willing to share some of his cataloguing with you. I mainly prioritize the fixing of some of the damaged books. That's my work. She continues to lead you through this room, with its rings of bookcases dominating the space. You pass by then a large granite table, occupying the room's centre. The table would be a circle, but for 6 semicircular gaps cut into it around its edges, which have created spaces for 6 chairs. Looking directly up, you notice that balcony I mentioned earlier, and once again that great sculpture hanging from the ceiling. It hangs directly over this area.
I look around for where I could lie down, and I ask for a bedroll.
Varnir looks at you and chuckles a little. Oh my goodness, my good person, you're not going to sleep here. What, are you going to sleep on a book? Oh my goodness, no, silly, we're going to take you to a bed.
Ah, you have proper beds down here as well.
Oh, yes, well, of course. Well, to be honest with you, I'm extremely busy most of the time, as is Ebda, which means we kind of it's easier just to stay down here. We have a kitchen, we have beds. Why constantly go back upstairs to sleep and come back down here?
And guest rooms, then.
Yes. To be honest, normally for fellow avowed, but again, this place is, changing. Again, it's unfortunately was in quite a state of disrepair for at least 100 years.
Well, all the better, I suppose.
She continues to lead onwards, and again, you pass by what looks like a little doorway leading to another room. You can't see what's in there, but you do hear a gruff voice sort of just quickly slam the door. It seems like you were disturbing someone. And then, if you do nothing else, she will continue to lead you downstairs again.
What used to be here before? I mean, it's been restored. What did this place used to be?
Oh, well, no, it used to be this. I haven't really got down to this level. It used to largely just be for the storage, but then there was a little bit of an incident, and then it kind of fell out of use for a time. Again, no one was really bothered by the books down here. It's not really the most important stuff, you can probably notice. Most of the more interesting stuff people want from the Great Library itself, but I was always fascinated by these old books, and so I decided one day I was going to do something about it. I'd been here longer than the restoration project. I've been here for at least 200 years, but, I started off as a lowly scribe, and now I've ascended to a head scribe.
Good for you. This thing you said happened, what was it? I'm curious. What could shutter such a place like this one?
Oh, nothing. Certainly not something you want to hear before going to sleep. A little unpleasant incident, and a few people then just didn't think this place was worth, paying attention to. Other than, of course, the caretaker, Crinkle. She's been here for 30, 40 years herself. Just sometimes, I think, feels I'm a bit of an intruder, but I'm hoping that we can get along. I think we will. She's a Kanku, so a little strange, but
I try to get a feel for this head scribe. Is she trying to hide some information here? Or does it seem like there's something she's worried about, or is it more that she just doesn't think I would be interested in it?
Roll an insight check.
That is a 13.
She definitely doesn't want to talk about it. You don't really know why. Then again, you are tired, and maybe she just wants to get you to bed, because, again, you did say you were tired. And maybe she doesn't think a long story is what you really want at this point in time.
Oh, that's considerate. I suppose I can find out later as well. It's good to know.
She continues to lead the way to another stairway. This one is far more narrow, and immediately goes into a much smaller, much more cramped area. It does occur to you now that you're actually at least 2-3 stories down into the earth, so all around you is probably stone. A cramped corridor leads the way into what appears to be a kitchen of some sort. There is a small table, a larder, even an oven, although of course you notice immediately that it is not an oven that contains fire. After all, fire is not allowed in Candlekeep for various logical reasons. Instead, it would be one of those ovens that has a magical enchantment of heat on it, you think to yourself.
It does make sense. There's a lot of things that might burn quite well here. I have to not unleash any fireballs or put my hands on fire here.
Indeed, although you would know that even if you try to cast a fireball, it won't work. Magical wardings will prevent the fire even happening.
That is very good.
I'd like to take up a place near the oven if I can. I enjoy the heat.
Varnir again looks at you very quizzically. You really don't want to sleep in the bed? You want to sleep on the floor next to the oven?
Well, if you don't mind too much.
It just feels very unrude, if you know what I mean. Like, the bed's just down here.
Fine, I'll look at your beds.
As you pass through the kitchen, you also notice, just as you were about to investigate the oven becks, that there is a human there. A young human, you think to yourself. Small. Young humans are often small, you think. Seems to be a girl, human girl, doodling something on the ground and humming to herself.
I tilt my head and I just look at her as I pass by. It's strange almost to see a child, I suppose, a humanling, here, of all places. Is this your child, head scribes?
Oh my, no. Oh, goodness me. No. This is Ebda's young girl. Galby, what are you doing drawing on the floor? Oh, well, I just thought I'd draw here. It's nice here, and I'm going to bed soon. Well, yes, I'm sure you need to go to bed soon. Have you said goodnight to your father? I'll go do that now. Thank you, Vanya. And she hops off, humming to herself.
I look at what she's scribbled on the floor. What is it?
You go to look. Seems to be a little doodle of some sort of... maybe a dog? Oh, maybe it's a dog and it's biting something. Maybe... it looks like maybe there's a woman handing the dog a bone. It's biting the bone? Or her hand? It's quite a silly little scrawl. You can't quite tell if it's biting the bone or the woman's hand.
Probably the girl dreams of poisoning a dog, I think to myself. And then I follow again.
Yes, and you think to yourself what she's humming is most interesting. What an interesting little hum.
Yes, it's a peculiar rhythm.
It is, a most peculiar... You think to yourself, you've heard that somewhere before, haven't you? You must have. Yes, how interesting.
What song is that? What song is that? I say out loud.
Do I recognize it?
You don't know what he's talking about. The humming? Oh, wait. Yeah. Yes, Alto, you're very familiar with that song, although you don't remember where from.
It's at the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. But I know it. It's one of those that everyone knows, right?
Yes, even I have heard it somewhere.
Vanya looks at the pair of you and says, so yes, the rooms are just down here. Again, if you really want to sleep by the oven, I'm sure it's okay. I mean, you might have to have a word with Crinkle. She gets a little, tetchy about... She thinks the kitchen's her domain,
It's fine, I'm sure. Don't want to step on anyone's toes.
And Vanya leads you to the east. This is a simple, long corridor with several doors to the left and right. She gestures around. Well, my chambers are straight down there, and Crinkles is over there. Ebda and his young one, they sleep there, and here you go. Here's a simple one open for you here. And she opens a door leading to a very small little room, 2 beds, a bit dusty, very simply furnished. There is, though, a nice little painting on the wall of Candlekeep. Someone's painted the spires. Quite pleasant.
I move up to look at the painting, try to, see if there's anything about it that is interesting, anything I have seen as I have been exploring the city.
Certainly, it is the Great Library itself, a mighty fortress, by some people's standards, painted from the outside by the looks of it. You certainly would like to walk those halls, but unfortunately, past the Emerald Door is forbidden to all unless they actually have business with the readers.
One day I will be inside that library. I promise.
I immediately, as she leaves, start disrobing, and until I am completely naked, all the while looking at this Alto fellow with a challenging look, as I roll out a roll on the floor of strange material and bring out a small jar of sand and start sand washing my scales before bed.
I look at my room, and look at the bed. Does it seem comfortable?
It certainly looks comfortable enough.
I am tired. But I'm gonna go and have a look, see if I can find any more books down here. I am still curious about what happened to this place before. Why would This is very expensive real estate. They couldn't just leave it like this. There must have been something very, very bad that happened. Perhaps that's caretaker person. Maybe they might know more.
As you are about to leave the room, there is a knock on the door, and when you open it, you do see an elderly Kenku staring back at you. Their beak is long and black, their feathers are sort of grey, and they seem to be carrying in a tray 2 bowls of some sort of meat stew. The Kenku looks at you. Food? Food? You ready for your food? Guests? Yes?
Yes, thank you. This looks delicious.
Very delicious, yes. Nutritious. You should eat.
My name is Alto. You are Crinkle, I understand?
Yes.
Yes. This is quite a place. The upper levels especially look very impressive, and I'm sure down here it'll be restored and will look fantastic again. Yes, you're part of this project, right?
No. Doesn't need restoring. Absolutely fine for the fireflies. Very happy here. Books fine as well. Did not need looking at again. Maybe some fixing, but no. All this restoration. Nonsense. Waste of time.
What happened here? It wasn't like this always. Surely something bad must have happened, right? That required this restoration.
What? No. What are you all talking about, human? Nothing wrong here. I do my job well. Are you saying I do not do my job well?
No.
Coming into my home, coming here, strangers, outside, criticizing my cellar. Unbelievable. And I made you meat stew.
I didn't mean to offend.
Please just leave the dear cook alone, Alto. I'll be happy to have my meat stew here. Thank you, I say, as I am continuing to wash my scales with this sand.
The Kenku simply snorts in a bird-like fashion, hands you the tray of dishes, and just walks off, muttering to herself.
Well, that wasn't very nice. But I have food at least.
Seems like this place is a touchy subject.
It does seem like it means a lot to them. Well, we all have things that are important to us.
You are going out, yes?
Well, I will probably go and have a little bit of a look around. I hope I won't cause even more offense with that, but I will partake in this stew first. It is important to have energy.
I start collecting up the sand, whisking it up with a small brush, and putting it back into the jar. And as I finish with that, I put on my small clothes and I sit down on my bed to enjoy this stew.
Certainly not a bad stew. Little stale, but it does the trick. Again, you notice some fireflies floating around your head. Your room does have a little jar of them. Doesn't seem to be a way of turning it off. You assume to yourself you just have to accept that they're always there.
Are they alive? Is it actual fireflies we're talking about, or is it some form of magic?
They are actual fireflies.
As you say this, I try to snatch one and crush one in the air.
You grab one and crush it in your hands. The other fireflies fly about you oblivious, although perhaps slightly disturbed.
Seems real enough for me, I say, and I sprinkle the remains of the stew and continue eating.
And so you continue to eat your meal. Alto, when you are finished, where do you go?
I move out, outside of my room, of course, and I look around this floor, trying to see if I can find anything of interest, any books or, well, anything that might tell us about what actually happened here. I do love a good mystery.
Well, on this floor, unfortunately, you don't see much of anything other than closed doors. You do hear someone... must be the child. Yep, she's humming from behind one door. You can see some light underneath the door, so that room is occupied. The kitchen, currently empty. Obviously, up above, it's still available, you think.
No, perhaps I should move upstairs then.
And you do so, once again finding yourself on that second largest floor, surrounded by stacks and stacks of old books. Seated on the table is someone else you haven't seen, a tabaxi. This feline creature seems to have fur, sort of black and yellow, speckled, and they're wearing a robe and they are reading something.
Greetings. You are also staying here?
Oh, what? Hello? Oh, yes. Hello. I am Kutala. Who are you?
My name is Alto. I have been given accommodation here because of some mix-up with the rooms and in the house of rest.
Oh, I see. Oh, wonderful. Well, I've been down here for a few weeks myself. I've been conducting a study on ancient folklore in the region. Most interesting. There's some rather good books down here. Some would call them the works of hacks, but there is something to be learned, I feel, from those sort of books. Don't you agree?
Oh, certainly. There is something to be learned from all books. Sometimes less, sometimes more.
She kind of tilts her head and strokes a whisker before returning to her book, saying, well, don't let me stop you looking around. Like I said, I'm a bit busy. Probably should go to bed soon.
Yes, it is easy to end up staying up very late and then you can't do as much studying the next day. No, I will not disturb you. But by the way, you said folklore. Would you know anything about the history of this place? I keep hearing references to something that happened here in the past that, it is why it's being restored now, and why it hasn't been in use much.
Oh, is it? Well, I can't really say I pay attention to idle rumour like that, I'm afraid. If I had to guess, I'd say they finally decided that this was getting a little tatty. I mean, if you go round the corner, you'll see there's actually a few books rotting away, and there's a bit of mildew in the wood, and all these fireflies. No, I don't see. Well, what did you hear?
No, just the head scribe mentioning that there had been some unpleasantness in the past, and, well, that's why it wasn't in use anymore, until now, until it's being restored.
Interesting. Well, if you find out anything, do let me know. Candlekeep does have an interesting history, after all. They'd like you to think it's all peaceful here all the time, but that's not always the case, is it? Did you know once the House of Rest itself had a little explosion? Ah, that must have been quite exciting.
That's not supposed to be possible, is it?
Exactly. The wizard who did it must have found a very unique form of magic, although I guess by causing an explosion, they weren't quite a master of it yet.
Sounds like a very committed fella.
Well, one thing's for sure, they'll never be seeing these walls again.
That is the truth. Well, it was nice to meet you, I say, as I continue looking around.
She gives you a genteel nod and then returns to her book. And you look around. But to be honest, there is so much here, Alto. Days, weeks, months. The books down here don't even seem to be in a particular order. So you stroll around, picking up an idle tome here and there. Fascinating, but maybe not anything that talks about the history of the location. If anything, the books seem more dedicated to art or reference. The sort of books that many people don't consider that important.
Well, I move up yet another floor. There's one more, right?
Indeed, that would be the first floor. Once again, slightly more comfortable up here, slightly more organised, but otherwise quite similar. The fireflies are floating around you.
I continue exploring for a bit, trying to just see if there's anything until I start to feel the sleepiness and the drowsiness coming over me. It has been a long day. And while this mystery is very interesting and I would like to know more, I do realize that I will actually be spending probably a few days here, so it'll be an opportunity tomorrow.
Indeed. At one point you notice a little commotion downstairs. The young girl has run into that room, the scriptorium. You haven't gone in there, but it's only a little commotion. It seems the father, maybe, tells her to get to bed, be quiet. And she does. And then you find yourself getting very sleepy. There are many books here, and you could be very interested in them, but for tonight, sadly, fatigue is starting to catch up with you.
Yes. I will move back down to the third basement floor then and go and find my room, seeing if Bex is still awake or has fallen asleep there.
Bex, you had some time to yourself, at least an hour or so. What did you do?
I enjoyed a bit of solitude, and I sat down with a bedside meditation before going over various channelings, seeing what kind of energies that moves here, and what comes out, what is allowed. I know about the fire wards, so I just see how they work so far underground, try to stir a little flame in my hand. If that doesn't work, I try to stir a little bit of ice and a little bit of wind, and I focus on that as I meditate, and then curl up after not too long and go to sleep.
Or at least try to go to sleep, but it's a bit difficult. Your meditations are a little off. You keep thinking about the little girl's humming. It's rather catchy, but that's a bit annoying. But for some reason you keep hearing it. You eventually stop and focus on your meditation, but it means you go to sleep a little more irritated than you were expecting.
Yes, and as I finish off the meditation, having been able to clear my mind for a bit, it comes back, and I lie there and I stare up at the taunting fireflies that don't seem to have any concept of time or rest, and I hum the song to myself as I lie there.
And so, when you arrive, Alto, it does seem Bex has finally fallen asleep. You think you hear them humming something. That tune again. It's in your head now as well. But, oh well, time for bed.
Yes, I do give it just one moment, trying to again remind myself, where have I heard that before? Why is it so familiar to me?
You honestly can't tell. You don't even think you know the words, which is strange. Surely you know the words, but are there words? You don't know why you thought there had to be words. Sometimes a tune is a tune. There must be words. Maybe in the morning you can ask someone about it.
Yeah, maybe I can ask that. The kid. She can tell me what it is. It'll be more fresh in her mind than it is in mine.
And so, do you get ready for bed?
I do.
Bex, you wake up. You have no idea what the time is. You realize you've been humming quite loudly. And you then sort of turn and realize that even though he seems to be asleep, this alto fellow is humming the same tune. It's woken you up.
It stirs me. It's unsettling. I reach for my dirk, as if though it would protect me against something that I feel attacked by, and I'm hoping that the familiar feel of the grip will give me comfort.
It certainly does give you a little comfort, although you're not entirely sure what you're going to do with it. Are you going to attack this person? You know that that will be grounds for banishment, and then your time in Candlekeep would be wasted.
Oh, that would be most unwise. I don't even know where they'll banish me to. Who knows? Some other plane, perhaps. But I see him lying there with my back towards me, humming the tune. That is annoying me. Maybe I need to take a walk. Yes, I might. And I'll put on the bare essential clothes just to pace the halls a bit and maybe make myself a bit more tired.
As you exit the room, you almost bump into someone outside. Standing before you is a man, again in the robes of the avowed, looking at you with great irritation. You think he was just about to knock on the door. What? Listen, would you keep it down?
It's... keep what down?
The goddamn humming! I'm trying to work upstairs. It's the middle of the night, and I probably should be going to bed soon, but then you and your friend, all this humming... It's extremely irritating.
And I notice I'm clenching the dirk in my hand. And I take a deep breath, and there's a hint of white mist coming from my nostrils. Yes, middle of the night. I was just going to take a short walk. Be quiet, I say towards Alto's side of the room.
Alto, you wake up, someone telling you to be quiet, and you stop humming, but you were humming. Why were you humming?
It seems like it has come back to me then, that rhyme. Or whatever it is. Yes, sorry, I didn't realize I was doing that.
You can go back to your studies. We will be quiet now, I tell the man outside.
Certainly better. I mean, what an irritating tune. Again and again.
It's quite catchy, isn't it? Do you know what it is? I just heard it. The little girl was humming.
No, I don't know what it is, but it is familiar to me and it gets on my nerves. I'm trying to sleep so I can study tomorrow.
Yes, Bex, it's such an annoying tune. You start humming it to yourself.
I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I try to stop.
Please just roll a wisdom check.
10.
You stop humming because you don't want to hum, but it's very difficult. It occurs to you you had to actually focus, almost as if you were casting a spell there, just to stop humming. The tune is still in your head, but you have managed to stop humming it.
It's coming from somewhere. You have it too. It's coming from somewhere. Maybe something's sending it to us. And the girls, I don't know why no one else is affected.
At this point, you see emerging from the corridor to your left, Varnir. They are dressed, although they are rubbing their eyes a little. Oh, goodness me, it's a little late. I'm sorry, what's going on? Why are you shouting at our guests? I am not shouting at them, they're the ones making the noise, this bloody infuriating humming sound. Well, is that true? I'm sure it's just... What's the issue? Bex, you seem distressed.
I can't get rid of the songs. It's the child. The child sang us songs and now it's stuck in both our heads and we're humming it in our sleeps.
I certainly hope you're not blaming my daughter for you humming. What's it got to do with her?
Well, she was the one that gave us the stupid melody to begin with.
There's something a bit off about it. A little bit odd, isn't there? I mean, could this be magical in nature somehow? I mean, it is way too contagious.
Well, I mean, that humming soon. And Varda starts humming it herself, and then she looks a little concerned. She raises a hand and begins to cast a simple spell. You would both be aware of a detect magic spell. She then looks slightly alarmed. Oh, that's... I'll be right back. And she quickly hurries past all of you and begins quickly moving upstairs. What do you do?
I am tired of this. Very, very tired. Head scribe, I say as she rushes off. Am I able to catch her attention?
You think she heard you, but she's continuing straight up the stairs. If you wish to continue the conversation, you'll have to follow.
Head scribe, if I just cast Dispel Magic, would that destroy everything down here?
What? No.
Well then, good, I will do that. Maybe that will help. And I cast Dispel Magic.
Who do you cast it on?
This humming, a magical effect, is what it can be cast upon, so...
Yes, but that is when you know the source of something. In this case, you do not. You can cast on a person, and that would remove the magical effect on them, or an object.
No, I suppose that's correct. I need to find the source of this.
Yes, I think that's what you set off to do.
I rush after her.
I just sigh, and I go back on the bed, and I'm feeling stubborn, but I'm going to sleep.
So, Bex, you try to go back to your room, trying to go back to sleep. Alto, what do you do as you're thinking of where to cast your spell, if you do?
Realizing that it is foolish to just cast it in onto the room or onto the air around it, the darkness or whatever. I need to actually find the source of this, and the head scribe seemed to have some kind of an idea, so I rush after her. I need to have this solved, otherwise I'm not going to get any sleep. None of us are.
It's probably just an artifact, I think to myself. Something that needs turning off. And I'm sure the head scribe will see to it. I'll lay down, and soon I'll notice it's gone, and I will sleep, yes.
Very well. Bex, you go back to your room and lie down on the bed and begin to hum to yourself once again. Alto, you follow after Varnir. You notice she runs all the way up to the very trapdoor you entered, and as you catch up with her, you see her quickly casting a spell and then ringing a little bell next to the trapdoor.
I wait to see what happens.
Alto, so don't panic. Casting Detect Magic, it does seem as if we are all currently under some sort of enchantment. Everyone, which, as you can imagine, is unusual. Therefore, as standard procedure, I had to lock down the area. You understand, right? There's no need to panic. I've alerted the avowed, especially the clerics. It's a bit late at night, but, soon some people will be coming, and we can all assess what the issue is.
Have you quarantined us?
Yes, sorry, it's standard procedure.
Oh, no. This is not good at all. I have so much work to do.
Well, again, it shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully within the hour or two, they can come and we can begin assessing it. I'm sure it's nothing terrible. It's just, procedure. If something like this happens, there are certain things, normally in the Great Library, that, you have to make sure. It's strange that we've all got this effect on us. It's almost more like an enchantment of some kind, but if
No, you're right, and it is a prudent way of dealing with it. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow. But what if we work together on this, huh? We can wait for people to come, of course, but we can also investigate it ourselves. It was the child. The child was the one who was humming it. Perhaps she's found something? Could there be something that was hidden here in the walls? I mean, this place has been here forever.
I suppose it's certainly possible. I guess we'll have to go and ask then. All right, yes, indeed. There must be something causing it. After all, I've been here for 6 months and we're absolutely fine. Strange this is happening when you've arrived.
I assure you it has nothing to do with myself or Vex down there. It's not us. Well, she was humming when we came, so I think she must have found it before, let's go and ask her if there is anything. Maybe she knows.
And you begin to go back downstairs, and Alto, you begin humming very loudly, as does Varnir.
And this is making me feel very ill at ease, but I suppose there's no point even in trying to stop doing it. I suppose it will just happen unconsciously. And I just pick up the pace, moving towards where I last saw the girl.
And you do so, noticing then suddenly all the fireflies briefly are no longer there. It's not that they're no longer there, it's just the glow sort of flickers on and off, on and off. A strange wind seems to be heard somewhere in the cellar.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played Shemshime's Bedtime Rhyme from Candlekeep Mysteries for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The music was created by Metatron Omega and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check them out at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for more music for your table. We've also used the soundtracks of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 by Michael Honig, used with permission from Beamdog, from whom you can get the enhanced editions of these classic games. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, and Robin for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. So saith the wise Salondo.